developers aren't the only ones who invest in the city. We all invest in the city. And those homeowners and those renters are all contributing to the city's economy. And a developer shouldn't have more to say about how the character of your neighborhood than you do.
Yes, there are many people around the city of New York and communities who say they want to preserve who they are, what they are, where they live, and their views. How do we take what is a wonderful concept of preserving the very best and truly preserve the very best? And when we looked at the Midtown East and the 83 lists of buildings that weren't under consideration for landmarking until the proposal for the rezoning, 83 from 3 organizations, of which only 7 were agreed by the 3 to be on each other's list. Most of these buildings were poor copycats that you wouldn't walk across the street to go and visit.
In fact, the three main groups hit each other over the head and came up with a list of 16 buildings that we all agreed on.
Not initially, Peg. Not initially.
I said not initially. I said we hit each other over the head, but we got there. And REBNY did a study of the 573 buildings within that rezoning proposal and couldn't find one building that they thought should be a new landmark. I think you have an incredibly narrow definition of preservation.
Actually, the truth is the representative that we hired came in, and I said, you can't give me a couple of buildings here? And he basically went over them one by one. Either they had been substantially altered, that they had problems with structural integrity, or they were very poor copies of other buildings. And why weren't you or MAS or any other organization calling for the landmarking of these buildings long before the Midtown East planning concept was proposed?
Because nobody thought 51-story buildings were going to be traded in for 110-story buildings.
But don't you want to preserve them?
Okay.
Don't you want to have some say into how they renovate or how they do it?
Well, I'm sorry you overpaid for your study. But you know, the commission usually responds to, this past commission too, has deliberately looked outside Manhattan where people have had pent-up demand for new landmarking in historic districts. And I'm sorry we don't anticipate everything because again, nobody thought that 51-story buildings would come down for 110. But we're catching up. I agree that there's room for a discussion, there's room for an improved landmarks process, and I hope that this discussion continues.
All right.